So one thing I really wanted to talk about was multiple offers are back, and to me, that's pretty exciting. How many of you? I know Brandon, you have. Anybody else? Have y'all experienced one over the last month? Because it seems like several people on the team have. So just want to talk about that. A lot of people um, probably don't have experience with it if you've only been in the industry a couple of years or doing a lot of business the last couple of years, just because it hasn't been prevalent since like 2022, 2023. So just wanted to talk about how to handle that and approach it and like how to deal with it. So
Mhm.
any questions, thoughts, comments from anybody?
I just,
All that last one I did, it was a, kind of investors kind of property. It was a little bit lower than the other stuff on market needed work, but yeah, we were out of six, we got it.
You said you got it in multiple offers.
Yeah, we that was the one that we closed last month. Yeah.
Oh, that's great. Christy?
I was on the listing end. So I just presented the offers to my sellers and pros and cons, weighed it out. They made the decision, and one of the realtors was happy.
There you go. Well, just as an FYI, if you haven't noticed it or haven't used it yet, there is a multiple offer worksheet in the
Yes.
document template that you can plug info in to present to your folks if you get to that point.
Yep. I did that. They both were at work and
Great.
that over and, texting, communicating. It was really great.
That's great. Well, way to
Mhm.
utilize it. I'm glad you saw it in there. I think it's helpful. And again, it's one I always, of course, forward the offer over so they can read through the document itself. But when you
Mhm.
have multiple ones, to put it kind of line by line to give them an idea is usually, I think, pretty helpful. And another thing that I do a lot, and not necessarily in multiple offers, is I'll update a net sheet for somebody when we get down to terms if
Mhm.
they're definite if it's not within the range of the ones I've put on the net sheet. I usually put like this is shoot for the moon, this is kind of where we're listing, this is where I kind of think that it might end up or something like that, just to give them a top to bottom overview. And um and then if we don't fall within that range, I'll update it again just to kind of give them an idea if necessary.
I have the seller sign the multiple offer worksheet. Um, that's just my practice. I'm not saying anyone has to do that. But make sure if you are getting multiple offers on a listing, make sure you are dropping those other offers that you don't accept into the loop and the not accepted offer folder. The real estate commission says we have to have those.
Hmm.
Yes, good point. There is a folder for not accepted offers, and you don't necessarily have to put, their pre-approval letter and the
Right.
disclosures or anything in there, but you do need to drop the offer itself, and if there's like an additional provisions addenda with it, that's proof that you shared it with them and that
Mhm.
you're also keeping it for posterity should you have to revert to it or go back to it, or if the initial offer falls through and you want to go back and
Yes.
you
Mhm.
know if you want to go back and revisit and go back to that agent or whatever.
Mhm.
My process is I upload the file and then I rename the file name in the loop the buyer's last name and the purchase price that they offered. That's how I organize it, just in
Good.
case I have a termination. I immediately know who to zero back in on. But um, Doug, I don't know if you feel the same way. One thing on multiple offers, just really quickly, I think it's great to bring this up because we're seeing it more and more again. I've got three listings. I've got two listings on the market right now. I have 3 to 4 listings in various stages of preparation. One will hit the market next week, another one probably the week after that. I'm still having conversations with my sellers that we are predominantly in a buyer's market. I don't think that there is a sea change in the market where we're going to start seeing a preponderance of multiple offers, at least not where I'm at. Y'all may disagree. I think you're seeing multiple offers on lower price properties. There's a bunch of different buyer interest levels there: entry level buyer, flipper, investor, and then in key plum areas like the property I wanted multiple offers on the buy side was in Cary, which is always nuclear. But rates this past week were the highest that they've been all year. And
Yes.
so I don't think that we're seeing a sea change in the market to a preponderance of multiple offer situations. I could be wrong, but I'm not seeing that personally.
No, I think you're probably right about that, and I think it is still a buyer, or yeah, I think it is still a buyer's market, and you need to make sure that you're setting that expectation with your sellers. And based on the conversations I've had, though, they have been lower listed prices, but the majority of them have been in the triangle.
Mm.
So take that for what it's worth, but that's what it is. So,
Yeah.
anyways, I think that just kind of keep an eye out for that and make sure that it's still important to set the right expectation. I can't speak very specifically because the home hasn't closed yet, but the multiple offers we had weren't like crazy. Okay. So if you want to read between the lines, what that means, we had multiple offers, but they weren't like super crazy multiple offers, if that makes sense.
Mm.
Well, I'm dealing with that now in Durham. I've got a buyer that I've made an offer on a property for, and the listing agent's like, "Hey, we're in multiple offers." Well, that was 5 days ago.
Wow.
Right. And they still haven't accepted an offer. And I've had Doug's help on this. I mean, the home's overpriced, and I don't know who's being unrealistic here, if it's the seller, the listing agent, or both, or, it's been on market now almost 20 days. It's not time to do a fire sale, but like you're almost certainly not getting list price right now. And so, when this home goes under contract, that agent's going to do what agents do. And he's going to say, well, we had multiple offers. And, that's going to give the illusion that, there was a cavalry stampeding the house, trying to win the house. But, yeah, I had multiple offers too on a property recently, but, the best offer and the worst offer were $60,000 apart. So what does that tell you?
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, they can also be a little misleading, so definitely worth taking into account. Well, what else? Josh, you got anything? Have you been dealing with any multiple offers with your stuff you've had going on?
Not really. I had one that was a little bit different, but that was more for, I don't know, we lost it. My buyer threw out a very low offer. So they knew knowingly we're gonna kind of fold if they didn't hit their certain investing numbers. That's really it.
So basically exactly what we were talking about, similar scenario. Multiple people were involved, but nothing crazy, not way above list price or anything like that.
No. We were so far below it that I was like, whoa, okay. I mean, unrightfully, like, we shouldn't have been there. And I told them that. And they're like, well, let's see if something sticks. Like, okay.
There you go. Okay. And, of course, that's very common with investors. Anybody who's worked with an investor knows that. That's the beauty of working with investors, but it can also be a curve as well.
Mm.
So
Yeah.
Well, we're close
I
to
think,
getting under contract.
Josh, that brings up.
Again.
Say that again, Josh.
I said we're close to getting under contract at another one with them, so that's okay. But
Good. Well, working with investors is a different ball game. And I remember when I first got into real estate, I had it in my head that, man, if I could get an investor client, that would be great, because these people got money, and you find out very quickly that a lot of them are a total waste of your time. It sounds like yours is probably not that way if you're getting close to striking a deal. So, but I've got 5 or 6 investor clients that I work with, at least 1 or 2 of them every single year. And, they've been steady repeat business, but they're not all the same. And you kind of have to get in the dirt with 1 or 2 of them to figure out which ones you kind of want to work with. The people who do a lot of this, well, we'll throw it out there and see what happens. You're only going to probably be willing to do that so many times before you're like, you know what, this isn't worth the time I'm spending on this.
Mm.
it's been a lot. Yeah, I already closed the deal with them this year, actually. So we got one
great.
more for them. Yeah, but they only want to do like 2 or 3, and then they're going to slow down. So I've had them for over a year now. It has not been easy. They are a
Uh-huh.
challenge.
Interesting.
Well, I have a question because I think this could be a good discussion point. Doug, I don't want to take over, but I had this conversation with a buyer client actually yesterday. And Josh, when you're dealing with an investor, maybe this is helpful for somebody else. How do you all handle when someone says, "Hey, what can I rent this for? What can I expect to rent this for?" What is your response?
What I've done is I just go online and just find out everything in the area and then quote, what I found.
I will tell them, look, I don't deal with property management. If it's Raleigh or surrounding, I've got someone I trust.
Mhm.
I'm happy to run rental comps based on what's in MLS, but not all rentals are in MLS, so it won't get you the full picture. So if you'd like to talk to my friend, I'll connect you with her so you can have a deeper conversation with her about it.
Yeah, I've talked to.
I'm happy to introduce any of you folks in the triangle to her if you need her. And folks at the coast, just ask people in the chat if that comes up because we've got you, what you need to do is make sure you work with an agent that isn't going to try to take them as a client, somebody who focuses on
Mhm,
property management.
mhm. No, I've done proposals just showing them what the property for Airbnb or whatever. So I have a couple down here that I reach out and they put it together, and of course there's like a referral fee and stuff like that. But
Yeah,
they're
especially if
very
you're looking at
helpful.
vacation rentals short term.
Yeah. Hmm.
I won't even try to estimate
No,
that. I'll say you
they'll
go
do
look
it.
at Airbnb
Post.
or whatever, and if I've got, I can put you in touch with who I use for vacation rentals
Yeah,
if you want to get an
Yeah.
estimate.
and they do a great presentation too and that. So yeah,
Yeah,
I do that for down here. I use Lewis. They do projections pretty quickly and they
right.
don't do sales.
Hmm.
yeah, that's perfect.
I do the
That's
same
exactly
thing.
who you want to use.
And then I also kind of say, hey, if you want to build the equity and rent it, then I kind of comp it out as well if they wanted to do a sale later on. And that's kind of how I've been doing it.
Yeah,
Cool.
yeah, I think that's good.
I don't do any rental comps at all whatsoever. I very much up front say I don't do property management. I can give you a name or two or three of people that I've referred other people to that I trust, but the minute someone asks me, "What do you think I could rent this for?" I had someone ask me one time, "What's the cap rate?" I don't care about cap rates. I'm not in that area. That's just not my thing. I'd rather be honest with you on the front end of the relationship so that we're all on the same page now than later.
Hmm.
I'm also not going to tell you I think you can rent it for X, and then 4 months later you're mad at me because you can't you try renting it for X and you still can't rent it for Y.
Yeah, I think it's important to stay in your lane,
Yeah.
right? We preach that on lending and inspections and all that stuff. It's really no different. Good topic. Thanks for bringing it up. Anything else, anybody?
Just about the rates. I don't know anybody hear anything else. I heard they may be going up.
Well, they did come back down a little bit after they peaked to like 5 month highs. So hopefully that's a good sign. I mean, until we have some better, but it looks like they went back up yesterday. So
Yeah, they did.
until we get some answers about what's happening overseas, nothing. I mean, it's going to stay
Mhm.
volatile,
Yeah, the oil's gone
unfortunately.
up.
So,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, down here on the coast and that, showing a couple buyers property, and they're really gravitating for the new construction because they're offering,
yeah,
10, 15, 20,000, use as you choose. And
Mm-hmm.
we go to look the next day and it's three of them are pending. So,
yeah.
you're
Yeah.
shifting, what are you going to show them and everything?
Well, that's kind of what I was experiencing with all my buyers last year. I mean, almost all of them were new construction, and
Yeah.
it's because they've got their own lender. They're offering in the fours and fives, and then they're giving you $10,000 or $15,000. It's impossible to compete with that on a resale or with
Yeah.
our lender, unfortunately, and they know it. But I mean,
We
there's
just
nothing we can do.
we just locked in at 3.99.
I mean,
So,
Wow.
that's wild. Why wouldn't you do that? And
and
it's new.
4% back,
Yeah, that's
you know.
wild.
So, yeah, that was sweet.
Was that your folks that looked at the Leland listing that decided to go with
Yes,
construction?
yes. She
Yeah.
did look at a couple other properties because she was concerned about, the construction, she does 12-hour shifts at night. So she sleeps during the day. So there was a couple new construction was on the back lot facing a tree line, a couple locations. That's why she was interested in looking at your one house. But it was just too close together with the other house
Yeah.
next door and things like that. But
Gotcha.
yeah, so we looked.
That's something you got to tell your sellers when you're meeting with them as well and setting the expectations. Like until rates drop down significantly, people are trending towards new construction if it's an option in the area because of the incentives and the rate. And you got to
Oh,
take that
we
into
threw in.
consideration.
We negotiated and we threw in a washer, dryer, and a fridge because they didn't have.
Wow,
Yeah, so
that's great. Well,
yeah,
good for you and good for your clients. Nice job.
yeah, she's happy.
All right. Well, y'all got anything else?
No, sir.
Nope.
Well, good discussion. Good to catch up. Just some stuff to be mindful of as you're, trying to. What do I always say? The most important thing is setting the right expectations at the outset of the relationship with the folks. So make sure you're taking the time and the care and you're providing that value because that's why they're hiring you, not to open a door. So just remember that. That's the biggest piece. The biggest issues happen in real estate transactions when the wrong expectations or no expectations are set at the beginning. And Brandon has a great line that I know he uses from time to time. And, he'll tell us, folks, at some point you might hear something from me that you don't like to hear, but it's because I'm doing my job and I'm looking out for you by being honest with you.
Mm-hmm.
That's a good one.
So, keep that in mind as well.
Let me tell you guys two things really quickly that I'm dealing with on two transactions. I got an email. I have a listing under contract supposed to close Monday. I got an email from the attorney. What's today? Thursday. An email from the attorney on Tuesday that Wells Fargo has a business loan lien on this property that my seller signed but was not aware of. And so we have to let Wells Fargo, we're petitioning them to release the deed of trust on the property, even though the value of the property won't satisfy the loan. And so the attorney has been dynamite, the seller's been dynamite, but these things pop up from time to time, right? And this is the importance of having that conversation that Doug just referenced. The other thing about the importance of having a relationship with an attorney that you can trust to get on the phone if you need to. I have buyers under contract on a home in Cary, and my attorney found in the title search that the prior owner, not the seller, but the prior owner who sold the house to the current seller that my clients are buying from, have an open HELOC on the house. And it was not caught by the seller's attorney 4 years ago when they purchased the property. And so they've escalated this to make it basically priority number one, even though we probably have plenty of time to get it alleviated.
Title insurance will take care of the seller?
Title insurance does not cover a HELOC by a prior owner. It's not included on their title insurance policy. But the attorney on the prior transaction whiffed it. And so our attorney's strategy was basically like, well, we're going to call First Citizens and get them involved. We're going to find through tax records the phone number of the prior owner and get them involved because they probably wanted to get this settled. And my first call is to the attorney who missed this on the title search because it greatly behooves them to get involved and fix the problem that they missed. And so, having relationships, we're in the relationship business, and having people that you can get on the phone, it is a differentiator in your business for sure. And it is a great value add to your client.
That's a good point. Well, I hope this is helpful for everybody. It's always good, I feel like, to get together occasionally and talk about stuff like this. When we share what we're experiencing, it puts us all in a better position to handle things, to get out ahead of it, and more than anything, set those right expectations and provide the value for our clients. So thanks for participating and engaging, and I hope that you guys have a fantastic day and weekend. Holler at me if I can do anything for you, okay?
Yeah. Have a great day, everybody.
Thank you.
See you guys.
See ya.
Bye.
Will do.